Hey, this is Abhinam and welcome to the second video on the Accrual Engine S4 HANA series. I hope you liked the previous video. If you did, please do not forget to like the video, share it, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, post an accrual for now and subscribe to the channel by the end of this video. Before we go into the video, do not forget that you can contribute for creating many such videos by joining this channel and becoming a super member. You also have an option to do a one-time contribution by hitting the thanks button below the video. In the previous video, we understood what are accruals and why it is posted. We discussed that whenever there is an expense or a revenue that you are supposed to receive but the posting hadn't happened yet, you will post an accrual document in SAP. By posting these accrual documents, be it for the revenues or costs, these are allocated to the each period in that particular duration of the fiscal year. We also understood that these accrual postings or the provisions are posted at the end of a month and are reversed immediately in the next month so that accruals of the previous month will have no impact on the subsequent months. We also understood that Accrual Engine is a tool in SAP that helps to calculate and periodically post the accrual values in SAP automatically. We saw what are the various advantages of using Accrual Engine compared to the manual accrual postings in ECC versions. In this video, we will understand in-depth differences between the manual accruals and the purchase order accruals along with the examples and accounting entries. So what is a manual accrual posting? Manual accruals, as the name says, is an accrual posting that is manually posted in the Accrual Engine. That means we do not post the accruals manually every month, but rather we input the data into the Accrual Engine manually. We enter what is the total amount that is to be accrued, what is the duration of these accruals, like how many months or how many weeks or how many periods these accruals are to be distributed, how the distribution should happen, whether it is a linear distribution or should be based on any formula, the account assignments if any, and how the documents are to be posted, the account determination. All these details are manually entered in the Accrual Engine, and based on this data that is entered and the accrual methods, the Accrual Engine will propose the calculated or the planned accrual postings, and these can be posted periodically into SAP automatically by the SAP Accrual Engine. Now let us try to understand how these manual accruals are created. When we say that we need to enter the data manually into SAP, that means we are creating something called as an accrual object. An accrual object is nothing but it is a capsule of multiple accrual sub-objects, and it literally does not hold any other information. An accrual sub-object is a further classification of an accrual object. For example, if we take a case of a rental accruals that you want to post, then you are going to create an accrual object called as rent. Now under this rent, there can be various sub-objects which are like factory rents or office rents, etc. And under the accrual sub-object is the actual accrual data that is stored. Now, in case of manual accruals, please understand that there is no much difference between the accrual object and the accrual sub-object. Both will perform the same functionality. Now, let us try to understand in detail about what is an accrual sub-object. Accrual sub-object is first divided into various sections. It has a header data, it has an assignment section, and it has a parameters section. The header section stores the start date and the end date of the accrual calculation. That means the time interval for which this accrual is to be calculated. Now the assignment section contains of various account assignment objects, like be it a cost center or a profit center, the business area or fund management. Depending upon what assignment objects are being used in the environment, those assignment objects can be assigned to this accrual postings under the assignment section. And the parameters contain different parameters on how the accruals are to be calculated. Now under this accrual sub-object, we create something called as an accrual item. Accrual item is a combination of various parameters like accrual type. That means what type of an accrual it is, be it is a cost or a revenue, and it stores the ledger type. Ledger is in turn linked with the accounting principle, so you define the accounting principle in which these accruals are to be posted. And also you will mention various other parameters like the total amount of the accruals, the currency, the quantity to be accrued, and the accrual method. Accrual method is the key in calculating or distributing the accrual amounts by the Accrual Engine. It is used to calculate and distribute the accrual amounts per period based on the total amount entered in the accrual object. This distribution can either be linear, that means the amount is divided equally between the different months in that particular duration, or it can be derived. Derived in the sense the accrual calculation can be derived based on a formula which is described in the configurations. This is how an accrual object looks like in an SAP screen. You can see that accrual object is created under a company code. There is an accrual object category, or what we call as an accrual object. And under the accrual object, we are also assigning something called as an accrual object subcategory. That means accrual sub-object. Here we also enter a text like what is this accrual object created for, and we can see the different sections that we discussed under an accrual subobject. And we can also see the assignment of the accrual items under the item data section. Here we created one accrual item type, which is costs. You can create multiple accrual types depending upon the requirement here, be it costs or revenues, the accruals, whatever it is. Now let us see the structure of the accrual subobject. We can see that there are three different sections in the accrual subobject structure. The first one is the header or the life section, where we see the start date and the end date of this accrual object. Under the parameters, we see the different parameters that we can assign here based on which the accrual calculation should happen. And under the assignment section or the account assignment section, we see various account assignment objects that can be assigned to the postings that are generated by this accrual object. The accrual types controls the calculations and postings of the accruals according to the different business use. It defines how the accruals are calculated and posted. The accrual types can be anything, for example, costs, revenues, receivables, etc. The accrual type is used to control which type of postings are performed for an accrual item. The various postings that can be generated by the accrual object can be assigned to these accrual types. We can either assign only one type of a posting or we can assign multiple type of postings to the accrual types. Based on the postings that are actually assigned to the accrual type in the accrual engine, different type of postings are possible in accrual engine. The different type of postings are opening postings, periodic postings, and final postings. Opening posting is the full amount that is supposed to be accrued, and it is posted usually when we are creating an accrual object. Periodic posting is the amount that is calculated by the accrual engine based on the accrual method that is assigned, and this amount is posted every period to the journal ledger component of SAP. This is usually a part of the total accrued value, and it is posted at the end of every month and reversed on the subsequent months. The final or the closing posting is generated when the accrual object is terminated prematurely. In these cases, whatever is the accrual amount that is to be posted or the remaining accrual amount is there, that is posted into the general ledger component. And there are also many other type of postings that are generated by the accrual engine, but these are the primary three types of postings that are important. Now let us understand the flow of how the manual accruals are calculated in the accrual engine. The first step is creation of an accrual object. That means we enter the accrual data manually in the accrual engine by creating an accrual object. And once the accrual object is created, the system calculates the plan based on this calculated accrual amount. The accrual postings are taken place in the general ledger component. After this step, the third step is an optional step. SAP had provided an option to enable review and approval process for the accrual objects. That means before actually posting the accrual posting in the general ledger component, one can review and also approve these planned accrual amounts that are calculated by the accrual engine. By reviewing, you can change the accrual amount if it is not right as per what is calculated by the accrual engine. And once the review is performed, another user needs to approve these changes. And again, at the time of approval, it is possible to change these amounts and then approve the final accrual object. Note that while review process is optional, that means accrual postings can actually happen even if the review is not performed. But if the approval process is activated in the configuration, accrual posting will not happen until the approval process is done. If the approval process is not done for one item type in an accrual object, then for that particular accrual type, the accrual amount is posted as 0 for that particular month. So once the review and the approval process is completed, the fourth step is or the final step is posting of the journal entries. Whatever is the accrual amount that is calculated or edited manually in the accrual object, at the end of the particular month by running periodic accrual transaction, these accrual amounts are posted to the accrual accounts. And in the next month, when this periodic accrual transaction is executed, the accrual values that are posted in the previous month are reversed and the accrual amounts are posted again for that particular month. Now let us take an example of manual accruals and let us also see how the postings happen in manual accruals. Let us take a scenario of rental expense and you want to post accruals for the rental expenses that you are supposed to pay. The total rent duration is for 6 months and the total rent amount is 6,000 rupees. And in this case, let us assume that the accrual method that we are using is linear distribution. So initially when an accrual object is created and if the opening posting is assigned to the accrual type, then this is the posting that happens. The rent accrued account is debited by the total amount, which is 6,000 rupees, and the rent payable account is created by 6,000 rupees. So this shows that there is a liability of 6,000 rupees in the rent payable account that we are supposed to pay to the rental landlord or the vendor. Now, Accrual Engine calculates the periodic amounts, and at the end of every month when we run the periodic posting transaction, then this posting happens. The rent payable account gets debited by 1,000 and the rent accrued account is created by 1000 rupees. Now at the end of second month, when you again run this periodic posting transaction, the accrual amount that you have posted in the previous month gets reversed, and the cumulative amount of the total accrual for that particular month, which is 2000 in this case, will be posted as a separate entry. So two postings happen in the subsequent month. That means in the second month. One is the reversal of the first month's posting, and the other one is an posting for accrual for a cumulative or the total accrual amount. So every month when you execute this periodic posting, as long as the accrual object is within the validity, every month the reversal posting happens for the previous month and the cumulative accrual amount is posted. As per the default behavior of Accrual Engine, the reversal of the accruals for posted for the previous month gets reversed only when you're executing the periodic posting transaction at the end of the second month. But if you want to reverse the accrual postings of the previous month in the beginning of the next month itself, then you can do it manually by executing the transaction FSB1. This transaction can identify all the accrual postings based on the transaction reference that is present in the accrual document and reverse these documents. Now assume that you are closing this accrual object before its validity. That means you are closing it prematurely. So in that case, a closing posting or a final posting takes place. Whatever is the remaining accrual amount that is to be posted, that amount will directly be posted in this case. So the rent payable account gets debited by 4000 rupees, which is the remaining amount in this case, and the rent accrued amount is credited by 4000 rupees. So this is how the accrual postings in case of manual accruals look like. Hope you have liked this video. Do not forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to get notified when I create new videos. Also, you can now join the channel and become a super member and contribute for creating many more videos and also get access to the member exclusive content. If you want to contribute once, then you have a thanks button at the bottom of this video and you can do a one-time contribution and help me in creating many such videos. Thank you and see you in the next video.